After arriving in a haunted town, 5 friends get stuck in a time loop with murderous monsters. To escape, they must survive the evening's onslaught, but it gets harder each time they fail. In the dark woods, Melanie struggles to crawl out of the ground when a Wendigo drags her back. She kicks it and escapes into a tangle of vines. Before lying down from exhaustion, she notices the slasher hovering and realizes her nightmare isn't over. She begs the man that she can't take dying anymore, but he strikes her down with a pickaxe. 1 year later, 5 friends go for a long drive to retrace Mel's steps. Max wonders if they should do a ritual, but the psychic Megan says she isn't prepared for one, so he clarifies that he means a closing ceremony. Na sarcastically agrees to celebrate their failure, but her boyfriend and psychology major Abe reminds them they're doing this for closure. However, Clover interrupts that her older sister is missing, not dead. During a stopover, they watch a video that Melanie sent before her disappearance. In front of them is the same gas station in the clip. Shortly after, the woman goes inside the store to grab coffee. While paying, she asks the shopkeeper if he's seen the person in the photo. The clerk assumes she vanished at Glore Valley, just up the road like many others before her, so she dashes and excitedly tells her friends she knows where Melanie is. On their way, they get caught in a heavy thunderstorm. The friends argue whether they should just turn around when they unexpectedly drive into an unfenced lawn. Everyone steps out of the vehicle, perplexed that it's raining everywhere except the area. Abe insists they wait for the storm to pass while Max checks his phone and doesn't get a signal. Megan says the place gives her a bad feeling as she notices the grave marker, while Clover curiously stands at the edge of the rain and her ex-boyfriend waits for her. Their friends enter the welcome center. Inside, Nenu encounters an hourglass with a skull, and the psychic learns there's no water in the bathroom. Meanwhile, Abe is shocked to find a bulletin board filled with flyers of missing people. Outside, Clover thinks she sees her sister in the fog and approaches her as she gets lost in the dark. Max witnesses her walk away and runs to the property's edge. With the sun about to set, he reaches into the rain, grabbing her by the shoulder and swiftly pulling her back within the border. This confuses his ex, so he suggests they rejoin the group at the tourist center. Abe shows Na and Megan the bulletin board where Melanie is posted as missing. Clover finds her sister's name on the Glore Valley logbook, so when her friends return to the lobby, she reveals they're in the same place where Mel disappeared. Na notices that the hourglass is turned and freaks out while Megan hears some noise. Realizing their car is now missing, they rush outside and find it just beyond the border. There's someone behind the wheel, so they quickly return indoors to stay safe. Abe and his girlfriend decide to watch it from the windows while the others search downstairs for a phone. Max comes across a window and wonders why the basement is underground, while Clover discovers a telephone and Megan finds a transceiver. No one picks up their calls. Upstairs, the couple hears a strange sound, so Abe informs his lover he'll check it out. He walks past the hall and enters a room when suddenly the lights go off. Na notices this and follows him into the hallway, but his unusual silence scares her. When she flicks the light switch in the last room, she's shocked to see the slasher and her boyfriend cut in half. Her scream prompts Max to climb up to investigate. From behind the door, he glimpses an intruder hovering over the woman's lifeless body. He hurriedly warns the others to hide, but the stranger hears them and goes downstairs while his back is turned. Max hits him with a chair. When the man doesn't flinch, he lunges forward with a stake but gets impaled through the eye. When the slasher enters the room, Clover sneaks behind him to get a knife and hides again. However, he yanks Megan out of the closet and throws her to the wall. He holds the psychic by the hair and bashes her head over and over on the floor. Finally, her friend stabs the masked villain, but he's unaffected and starts chasing her. Clover frantically escapes into the woods and stumbles. Standing up, she sees a figure that looks like Melanie and eagerly calls her, but the slasher impales her with a pickaxe. When the woman takes her last breath, the hourglass empties and reverses, restarting the night. Na finds herself writing in the guest book. Megan wipes the bathroom mirror and Abe grabs one of the flyers in the yard. Max pulls Clover inside the property's borders and the two wonder how they're still alive. Confused, all 5 friends reunite at the Glore Valley Welcome Center where they're now posted as missing. On their bulletin board. The psych major insists they leave with the jeep, but Na thinks it's unsafe since they seem stuck in a time loop and will likely bump into the slasher, but then they're stunned when the lights flicker and the front door keeps swinging open. Since these didn't happen before, Max helps Abe lock the entrance and notices Megan's discomfort, so he checks if she's okay. Sensing danger, she cautions him that tonight's not only different, it's worse. Everyone is alarmed when she contorts unnaturally and her eyes roll back. Her deafening shriek breaks all the light bulbs, plunging the whole building into darkness. By the time Clover switches her flashlight on, the psychic is gone. They search the building and find her by the bulletin board, levitating and with black eyes. Horrified, the group watches as she points at the missing persons and channels their spirits, uttering their final words. She then warns them not to let it in, and her neck snaps on its own. Once Megan's body drops on the floor, a loud banging interrupts their grieving. The friends return to the lobby where Clover hears Mel knocking on the door, begging to be let in. Abe stops her from opening it, but when the missing sister screams in pain, Max removes the barricade. His ex rushes outside, though no one is there. Everyone follows her to the porch, baffled by the house right across since it wasn't there on their first night. While Clover inspects the building, an unseen presence thrusts her forward. Max comes after her, but he's thrown back and the door closes as the invisible force drags her to the other side. She yells desperately for help. Clover gets the chance to stand up when she reaches the entrance. However, she's suddenly pulled in and the door slams shut, locking her inside the old house. Meanwhile, Max gets out of the welcome center to get his ex-girlfriend. Now panics as he exits, but Abe convinces her that the only way to save her friends is to leave and find help at the shack. Clover regains consciousness and looks around, startled by the masked mannequins. Behind her is an old woman with an oxygen mask watching the news about Glore Valley's collapsed mines. She sneaks up to the front, but the Glore approaches and reveals that the only way out is to survive the night or they'll become a part of it. The young lady panics and tries to open the door, but the hag pulls her down and forces her to breathe through the mask, wishing that she suffer like their town while she disintegrates. Once the witch possesses Clover, her eyes turn black and she smiles eerily. Without warning, the entrance opens and Max enters the home. As he does, the pair runs to the jeep and drives past the border into the storm, with the giant blocking their path. They're forced to go back while Abe is getting out of the car. The slasher takes his life, unable to escape the locked door. Nena also meets her end. Simultaneously, Max explores the witch's house and hears noise on the second floor. He goes upstairs and comes across a clown doll in a rocking chair. As he turns around, he's surprised to see someone in a mask. Relieved that it's Clover, he approaches her, but his ex attacks him, splattering his blood on the doll heads. Still possessed by the gore witch, the woman walks out of the shack. However, the slasher hits her with a bee's vehicle, sending her lifeless body forward. As her eyes return to normal, the hourglass reverses, bringing everyone back for the third night. This time the group barricades the front door and hides in the bathroom. When Abe checks the faucet, Megan is confused because it's now working even though it was previously broken. The psych major consumes the tap and asks who else wants it. Everyone raises their hands, so he offers some to Na, who takes a sip and passes it along to Clover. As she recounts her experience with the witch, she drinks from the glass and shares it with her ex-boyfriend, who suggests they wait in the bathroom until dawn. Still, Abe worries about what the old woman meant, that they'll become part of the night, so the psychic shows her hair loss and points at Max's growing nails, believing they're turning into something else. She explains that unless they escape, they'll be stuck in that place. Just then Abe starts coughing uncontrollably and explodes into pieces. His girlfriend panics when some of his parts get into her mouth, so she rinses them off at the sink. Megan stops her and announces that it must be the tap. Horrified, now pauses, realizing they all drank from it. Her body bursts, followed by the pipe. Panicked, the group flees to the lobby where the psychic coughs until her leg blows up. She loses balance and turns on her back, but then her belly expands and ruptures. Megan painfully crawls to the pair, who can only watch as her head explodes, not wanting to suffer the same. Clover wraps Max's hands around her neck, insisting they should start over and return to save their friends. Her can't bring himself to strangle her and blows up, covering her in blood. Defeated, his former girlfriend lies on the floor when the gas station attendant approaches. The man hints they won't survive survive by sitting still as she blows up. The hourglass reverses again. On their fourth night they search the basement for clues on how to escape. Clover finds some IDs belonging to the gas station clerk, who turns out to be a psychologist named Dr. Hill. Abe shows her an old newspaper about Glove Valley's mining accident 20 years ago. She learns it claimed over 1,000 lives and the shrink was brought in to help survivors. Megan also discovers that when the mines collapsed, the earth swallowed the whole town. With this, Max figures that the basement must be the building's first floor buried underground. Na opens what she believes to be the front door and confirms that it leads to the mines. Soon after, Clover's ex plays a VHS tape and discovers that Dr. Hill had been experimenting on the time loop with both the haunted town survivors and guests. Everyone watches uncomfortably as his patient transformed into a Wendigo, finally understanding what they're turning into. Suddenly the psychologist speaks through the transceiver, revealing that the only way out is if one of them sacrifices their life. While they don't trust the man, Clover agrees to meet him alone and runs off despite her friend's disapproval. Unable to catch up, Max and Megan decide to follow her into the woods. If they find her dead, they can just end each other's lives and start over. When Abe insists on leaving her behind to save themselves, Nena stabs him with a pickaxe and tells them to go in the woods. Clover gets caught in a bear trap and is pulled into the dark while the couple waits at the welcome center. Nena notices the slasher and volunteers her boyfriend to die first. Outside, the pair searches for their friend and stops by a tree where a creature ambushes them. They double back, but Megan stumbles on a glass roof and Max tries to save her. As the ceiling shatters, the Wendigo grabs her foot and they both fall into the building. The man sees the monster drag the unconscious psychic, so he abandons her. Meanwhile, a weakened Clover re-emerges from the ground. Max is relieved to find her, though when a Wendigo Melanie charges at them, he scampers to remove the trap and snaps it over her head. He helps his former lover flee to a nearby structure. She breaks down in tears, saying they shouldn't have come for her, but he reassures the woman they're not leaving without her. When Clover learns that Megan may be dead, she begs Max to end her life so they can try again, and he hesitantly slits her throat. Seeing the Wendigo outside, he drinks bad water from a leaky pipe and confronts her before exploding. A year ago, Melanie asked her sister to come with her to New York, but she refused. When her older sibling left, she followed, but a Wendigo came through the door. Clover awakens in the present from her nightmare. Max reveals that she'd fallen asleep, so he had to drag her in. She wonders how long it's been, and Nena says it's their 13th night. Shocked, she checks the logbook and confirms that no one else has signed it more than 13 times, which means tonight's their last chance to escape. They soon realize Megan is missing and everyone is baffled why they can't recall the previous loops. Fortunately, Abe remembers recording everything and plays the videos on his phone. They eventually come across a clip of Hill ensuring they're dead. Megan survives that loop and says she's going to the mines. Suddenly they hear blaring sirens outside, so they peek through the blinds and find themselves surrounded by Glove Valley's villagers. As they argue about their next steps, Clover grabs a pickaxe. Determined to save her friends, she prepares to